Hi everyone, it's Miss Landis here. Today's video finishes out topic 10, lesson 4, which is multiply a whole number and a mixed number. This is part 3, so this is day 4 of the contingency plan for week 5 and on. At this point, we are finishing out the lesson, so we have 6 problems to do on page 565. So I will be completing the problems on my whiteboard. Like I said in the previous videos, the paper doesn't really give you much room to solve, and the solutions for these equations are a little bit lengthy. So I would suggest getting scrap paper or lined paper or whatever extra paper you have in your house to have some more room to write out the answers to these. So this is the paper for the homework and practice. We are completing today 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'll be starting with number 1 on the whiteboard. And just a reminder, at this point, this is day 3 of the same lesson, so you should be comfortable enough to complete this on your own and then use my video to check your answers. So if you haven't done that yet, I would suggest trying them by yourself and then coming back to the video to check your work and possibly fix or change something if you have to. So the first equation is 2 times 1 and 1/4. And that is number 1. So the first thing that we have been doing each time, the first step is to draw the arrows to represent the distributive property, which says that we can break apart the mixed number and multiply it by the whole number in 2 parts. So the arrows are showing us that our first equation is 2 times 1. And we'll be adding it to the answer of our next equation, which is 2 times 1/4. Two times 1 is 2, plus 2 times 1/4 is 2/4. And since our numerator is less than our denominator, we do not have to change that 2/4 to a mixed number. So when we add a whole number and a fraction, we just stick them together. So our answer is 2 and 2/4. And I will write that on my paper. And like I said, again, when you turn your work in, we should be seeing all of that work, not just the answer that's on the paper. All right, moving on to number 2. Number 2 is 2 times 3 and 7/10. First thing that we are doing is drawing our arrows to represent the distributive property that we will be using. Our first equation is 2 times 3. And our next equation is 2 times 7/10. Make sure you put the plus sign in the middle because you're adding both of those answers together to get your final answer. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 times 7/10, which is 14/10, whole number times numerator. That 14/10 we do have to change into a mixed number. So in the top corner, I'm just going to do that quickly. 14/10, I can get 1 10/10 out of it, plus there will be 4 tenths left over. so I can make 1 whole with 4/10 left over. So down here, I'm going to change that, and the new equation is 6 plus 1 and 4/10, which equals 6 plus 1 is 7, and stick the fraction next to it. And our answer for number 2 is 7 and 4/10. And I will write that on my paper. Number 3 is 4 times 2 and 5/8. So I will erase my board. First step is to draw the arrows. And my first equation is 4 times 2. And my next equation is whole number times the fraction part. 4 times 5/8. Remember, if you feel like I'm going a little bit fast, you can always pause the video for a second, or there is an option on YouTube where you can slow it down slightly. It might sound like I'm talking in slow motion, but that might help you. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 4 times 5 is 20 over 8. That is the multiplication of our fraction part. In changing the 28ths to a mixed number, 8 plus 8 is 16. I know one more 8 is going to give me 24, and that's more than 20. So 8 plus 8 is 16. To get to 20, I have to have 4 more. So that means I can have 1, 2 wholes with 4/8 left over. So we change that 28 to 2 and 4/8. So it's kind of like you bring that over here. And now it's 8 plus 2 and 4/8, which ends up being 8 plus 2 is 10, with 4/8 left over. Now we can write that on our paper. 10 and 4/8 is our answer for number 3. And just notice how little room they give you for some of these problems, and like look at all of the work that you have to do. So make sure you're showing your work on a separate piece of paper instead of kind of trying to squeeze it in here, where you might find that it's a little bit more difficult for you when you don't have enough space. I know when I don't have enough space and I'm trying to solve, I get really frustrated. So try to find yourself a piece of paper to work on. Number 4 is 3 times 2 and 5/6. Drawing our arrows to the whole number and then the fraction part. We have 3 times 2 plus 3 times 5/6. First step, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 times 5 is 15 over 6. And my numerator is greater than my denominator, so I'm going to have to break that up into a mixed number. 15/6 equals, I can have 6/6, plus another 6/6 would give me 12/6. Count up to 15, and you'll have 3/6 left over. I can have 2 wholes with 3/6 left over. My new equation is 6 plus 2 and 3/6, which gives me 6 plus 2 is 8, and 3/6 is my answer to number 4. So I will write that on my paper. 8 and 3/6. And we have 2 more to do, and that will conclude topic 10, lesson 4. Alright, so number 5 is 8 times 1 and 2/3. Well, as soon as I hear anything times 1, I get excited because that's pretty simple. Draw my arrows to represent the distributive property. First, I'm multiplying 8 times 1 plus my next equation, which will be 8 times 2/3. 8 times 1 is the easiest thing you're going to do all day. It's just 8 plus 8 times 2/3. 8 times 2 is 16 over our denominator of 3. And now we have to make that a mixed number. So see, you can also use the skip counting method here, which I talked about earlier in this topic, is that if you skip count by 3s and see how close you can get to 16, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what's left to get us up to 16, we'll count up from 15 to 16, that would be 1/3 that you have left over. I personally think that this way is easier, but I haven't, we only had just started talking about this in class before we ended and had to continue with remote learning. So I've been using the break apart method with fractions to show the wholes, but this might be something that you are doing at home because we did show you guys in class a little bit, and I did show it a little bit in some of the videos. So I'm going to do it this way and this way again for number 6 too, just to kind of show you there's other methods. So we will now have 8 plus 5 1/3, which equals 8 plus 5 is 13 and 1/3. So now on my paper, next to number 5, I will write equals 13 and 1/3. And our last equation, 2 times 5 and 4/5. So I will erase my board. And that is number 6, 2 times 5 and 4/5. Draw my arrows to represent my multiplication with the distributive property. My first equation is the whole number 2 times the whole number 5. And we will add that to my multiplication of the fraction part with the whole number, 2 times 4/5. Two times 5 is 10, plus 2 times 4/5. So 2 times 4 is 8 over 5. That one's a pretty easy one to turn into a mixed number. When your numerator is just a little bit more than your denominator, it's going to be simpler. But if this was 70/5, then that's a lot of skip counting that you would have to do. So if I skip count by 5s, I'll do it up here. 5, 10. Well, 10 is more than 8, so I know that I can only have one whole, and then if I count up from 5 to 8, 6, 7, 8, there's going to be 3/5 left over. Just like if I were to break it apart, 5/5, we can have one whole plus 5, count up to 8, you would have 3/5 left over. So that's how you're kind of finding the same thing with two methods. The skip counting, I think it works a lot better if the numerator is larger. For a smaller numerator, I do kind of think that this method works just as great. So either way. So now we have 10 plus 1 3/5, which equals 11 3/5. Take your paper, write 11 3/5, and we're done for the day. So I hope that you guys are finding these math videos helpful. For topic 5 or topic 10, lesson 5, we are moving into working with solving money problems or time problems. Time problems, I'm sorry, it's time. And Mrs. Capizzi is going to be making those videos. So that actually starts tomorrow. So in looking at our plans, tomorrow begins solving time problems, and then you'll be continuing with that on Monday and Tuesday. So we will see you guys later, and look out for the science videos that I've been making too in order to help you with the science stuff. Okay, have a good day. See you later.